Carlos Nelson with What's Up Kansas City, and today we got a special guest just coming back into the country, Mr. Dre Taylor. Welcome, Dre.
Thanks for having me.
For sure. You just coming back from Ghana. All right, straighten me out here. I want you to tell our audience a little bit about your trip, in addition to what you do and how you do it.
All right, yeah. So I went to Ghana. It's in Africa, the continent of Africa. So a lot of times people say I'm going to Africa or mention Africa, not knowing that it's 50 plus countries in Africa. So there's many different countries there, and it's one big continent. And so a lot of times, African Americans generalize Africa as one place. When there's many different facets of Africa. You got South Africa, Central Africa, East Africa, West Africa, Northern Africa. And so there's a lot of different parts of Africa. Even in Ghana, there was a lot of different parts in Ghana that I had a chance to explore and see. And so,
How long, tell the audience how long you were over there so that they'll understand you just wasn't there for a week or
I was there for 15 days, so I got a good chance to see all of a good portion of Ghana. Probably I seen more than 90% of the Ghanaians that live there. I probably traveled maybe 30 hours on the road, going to different cities and locations in Ghana, from the coast of Ghana all the way to the northern region of Ghana. So we had a lot of different pit stops from the major city of Accra, Cape Coast, Kazuma. Mole National Park, where I did a safari. It was all kind of places that we went to in that 2 weeks that I was there, 15 days.
Who was you there with?
Believe it or not, I posted online. I got my plane ticket and I posted online on Facebook. I was in this Afrochella group. I've been wanting to go to Africa, some part of Africa, for the last 10, 15 years, and the opportunity presented itself. And so I got the ticket and I posted online that I was coming to Ghana. And I had about 3 people reach out, say I got these itineraries, check them out. So I researched the itineraries to see which matched my time that I was there in Ghana. Mm-hmm. And so I picked this itinerary, and there's a group I met up with. Never met these people before in my life. It was about 6 or 7 people from all over, I think from Milwaukee, Chicago, and San Francisco. And then we had a driver and a tour guide who led us on our excursion for, I think, believe it or not, I think about 12 days or so. And so I traveled with these people for 12 days on the road.
What kind of money do you have to spend to get that done?
So a ticket to Ghana out of New York, you're looking at probably about $700-800 for a ticket to get to Ghana. That's out of New York. So you got, of course, you got to get to New York. And so that's probably about the easiest or the cheapest ticket.
You fly out of JFK?
EWR.
All right.
EWR, you can fly out JFK. My first route there was 25 hours. So, yeah, it was a long trip. So I had to go to D.C. That was only about an hour. Then I flew from D.C. all the way over Ghana, past Ghana to Ethiopia. From Ethiopia all the way back over to Ghana, which is on the coast. So I went all the way to East Africa, back over to West Africa, that was in Ghana. So that was 25 hours there, and then my trip back was only about 11 hours.
What was your layover at Ethiopia? Did you have enough time? Would one have enough time if they followed your route to stop in Ethiopia for a day or two?
Yeah, that's how, if you can, but as soon as I got the plane, we got back on the other plane, so it wasn't no time. We didn't have a chance to even sit down.
But I'm saying if you planned it,
if you want, you can plan
without that extra cost.
Yeah, you can plan it. When I was planning my trip, I was looking at going to Kenya for a day to Nairobi and spending a day in Nairobi, but it just didn't work out that way. So I just planned to go to Ethiopia and come on back over to Ghana.
I seen you posting. I seen you was at the clubs, and then I seen you with the kids, and what have you. Talk to our audience a little bit about that, your experience and how you felt being on the continent, that feeling.
I felt at home, man. It was welcoming. They welcomed me. It was a different cultural experience that I had there. The people was, like I said, grateful and welcoming and nice. It dispels any myths and beliefs. Because a lot of times people will say, well, I heard Africans don't like black people. And they'll run with that.
Right.
I heard, and they'll run with what I heard. Instead of educating themselves on one experience or two experiences somebody else might have had to paint that whole picture, and then being ingrained with the educational system where we look at Africa as, not a place to go as far as the travel to.
And spend your dollars there.
Spend your dollars there. When they know that, and that's why they don't promote Africa there. You're not going to see the beaches like you see maybe in like Florida or Mexico, Cancun, or Caribbean that's just as beautiful on the coast of Africa. And I posted pictures of all kind of things and videos of everything I've done in that trip to Ghana just to dispel the myths. And, a lot of people was like, man, I felt I was on a trip with you. You know what I mean? They felt that.
That's me. Hey, every time you post, I'm like, the scroll, hell, what's going on? And I'm like, damn, I'm not there, and he's really doing it.
Yeah, so I should have charged people cash at people for the trip.
You're right. Hey, it was beautiful. Your postings were beautiful.
Yeah, it was just, dispel the myths that people have and the information that we just don't get from the continent, within itself. And so you can tell people about Africa all day long, go one ear out the other, but once you go there, you can show people, what it's about.
And the cities, all they want to show is the rural part of Africa, the right. Major media. They can put the cameras here and go to Appalachia, and if that's all they show, that's how you think the United States is.
Yeah, it's miseducation on both sides of the water on what we think they are and who they think that we are. They think that all of us have money,
right,
because of the things they see on TV. And that's not
West.
the case. The West, that's not the case. And we having little kids that's hungry in Ghana or in Africa, and that's not the case. Them kids that was over there, they were just as happy as could be. They had plenty of food available. There's probably more food available there than it is here. They had nothing to worry about. I mean, it was goats and chickens all over the place. They had fresh fruits and vegetables growing everywhere. When I wanted coconut at the hotels, I wanted coconut. They run over to a tree with a bamboo and knock the coconuts down from the tree. And I mean, everything was plentiful there, from the plantains, the bananas, the pineapples. I mean, you had everything, and they were selling everything on the street. They didn't have fast food places. They had Pizza Hut and KFC, but you didn't see a lot of them. That was in really the major city of Accra and Kazuma, but the rest of Ghana, you didn't really see those fast food places. So they don't have like diabetes. They're not out of shape. Everybody's in shape.
Because everything is fresh per se.
Everything
How
is
did
fresh.
How did that fall into what you do here in the States? And but I think you shared some of the meals that you were having on your posts.
Yeah, I mean, here in America, it's developed country. Ghana is a developing country, and so they're not at the point that we're at here in America. So you have to roll with the punches when you're there. You have to remove your mind state,
Your mindset
of being what you've been accustomed to here in America. And so, like
Program.
you would be basically programmed. And so there, I made the joke where they run on CP time. But a historian, Ranoko Rashidi, said he traveled all around the world visiting different black communities, and that's how we operate all over the world. So we look at it as a bad thing because of that's the way we run. But if you ordering food, it might take an hour to get your food. They're not
Because it's fresh.
It's fresh, but they just don't have a real concept of time on I gotta here do this, and that. They just don't think that way. It just, I get there when I get there. So
that's like native people say they don't have no concept. How can you own the land?
Right.
How can you, they don't have no concept of certain things that the West has put in our programming.
Right, and so you just have to remove your mindset and understand that you're going to a country that you've never been to, and they have their way of doing things just like you have your way of doing things. When somebody come in your house, they respect your rules.
Mm-hmm.
Same difference when you go to somebody else's country, or it's our country, we're just returning home. And so
Man, I want that dual passport myself. I got to get my paper right.
Yeah, so they're currently working on getting dual citizenships for Americans. African Americans, and so the process needs to be streamlined a little bit faster. I think since this was a 400-year return of
Talk about that also.
so this was a 400-year return of marking the 400 years of slavery, and so there's been year of returns before. This wasn't the first year return. This marks the 400-year return. And so they had Africans that took to Brazil, that came back to Jamestown in Ghana. Then you had Marcus Garvey. He had a year of return, even though he never stepped a foot in Africa. He had a year of return. There was a couple other year of returns.
What was the Jamestown? If you can elaborate.
Yeah,
a
so
little bit about
Jamestown, it was Africans in Brazil that came back, and they allowed them to come back to Africa, and they settled a colony in Ghana. And Jamestown was the name of the city that they started up there.
that. Like they did in Virginia.
Correct.
Right. All right.
Correct. And so these are just stories, but the 400-year return, you had a lot of African Americans there who came to visit, not just from America. You had people from the UK, United Kingdom. You had people from the Caribbean. You had Jamaicans there. It was a lot of people there.
Well, most of them woke. How Miss Nelson considers being a woke per se.
Somewhat, not all. It was an introduction to a lot of different things. A lot of them didn't know our past, our history. A lot of them went for the concerts there, Afrochella, which is real big. It's like the Coachella in California. And so a lot of them went for the Afrochella or the Afro Nation. And there was other concerts.
Run those two things down. What that was about and what happened. Because I'm like, he's partying like mad.
Yeah, so Afrochella was like in a stadium, and so they have a Coachella in California that's a big concert. Like Beyonce made it, she blew the Coachella thing up, and so they have a similar thing in Ghana. And so a lot of people travel to see different artists perform at the Afrochella.
Who was there that you know, or was it basically from the continent artists?
It was from the continent artists, but the crazy thing about, us in America, we're not exposed to everybody else's artists. We're pretty much arrogant where we're not listening to all these different artists around the globe. And so when you go to Ghana, they're listening to Lil Wayne, Drake. I mean, everybody pretty much, they got an ear to even people in the UK. And so I know when I was in, a party, I might hear a rapper from the UK. And I'm like, man, who is this? I wouldn't know.
And they tight, too.
Yeah, and they tight. You would never know who they are because we arrogant to thinking that nobody can do it like we can do it, and we're not exposed to those artists. I mean, there's a couple people are, but by the masses, we're just not exposed to what everybody else is exposed to.
And do you know why? Or what is your supposition why? If you have formulated
they don't want to open up the gate. The floodgates. Once we understand
economics,
once we understand, the resources and wealth that's in Africa, then it's pretty much over. The writing's on the wall. Once that domino start going down and folding, they have to figure out and devise another plan to stop that from happening. And so that's been the
modus operandi.
Yeah, that's been how it's been operating. Just shedding a whole different light on Africa as a whole. But it's a beautiful place with beautiful people, beautiful beaches. I enjoyed myself, man. Everybody's welcoming. It's the 13th safest country in the world. And so when I was going there, a lot of people were like, be safe, watch out, X, Y, and Z. And so I'm getting there and I'm talking to my cab drivers and they like, man, you have nothing to worry about. We don't carry guns here. We just not killing people. I'm like, what? I was telling people about America where I'm from. They're like, this is crazy. Y'all do what? For what? Why? They couldn't understand it. Like the word nigga wasn't in that vocabulary. You know what I mean? They see me as a brother. I see them as their brother. So it was a whole different experience. You have to watch over your back, because you have something, man. It just wasn't that type of atmosphere in the air, and you had nothing to worry about as you do here in Kansas City, or any other major city in the state. So it was a beautiful place, man. I just felt at home traveling to Ghana, and I'm planning on going again.
Tell me this: what you do here in the States? How did you merge any of that? Did you look into any economic opportunities or any partnerships, or as it relates to what you do here with your programs?
Yeah, so here I got Now Valley Aquaponics, commercial
Run that
greenhouse.
down to people that are not familiar. A lot of people in Kansas City are familiar with you, but run that down to our audience. You know, we're in 76 cities in 10 different African
Right.
countries.
So Now Valley Aquaponics is a commercial greenhouse where we grow fish and vegetables in aquaponics system, self-sustaining. We also have goats, like 10 goats. We do a lot of field trips. We probably average anywhere from 2 to 3,000 people a year to come and tour the facility from church groups, schools, organizations, and they learn about what we're doing at the greenhouse. I also have a food co-op where we have 200 fruit trees and over 100 beehives in Swope Park. I also have a mentoring program, Males to Men. And I actually made a post today where I said we're trying to get passports for our boys, and I think we're down to 12 passports left out of 30 that people sponsored. You know,
All right, yeah, because I was going to say they cost a little bit of change.
Yeah, it's about $110 per passport, and I had I think 17 people reach out so far today just to donate, you know, and sponsor.
Males to Men, are you working with Mickey Dean?
Correct. Working with Mickey Dean. That's another brother who's been to the continent 7 times.
Right, and
so,
just while you were away, he was over in Dubai.
Yeah,
we talked off camera about that.
Yeah, he was over in Dubai, and he's gonna give a presentation to the boys in the mentor program about things he's seen over in Dubai, and I'll be doing one this coming Monday at our mentoring program to show them what Ghana is about and why we need to get over there. But getting back to the original question, I had a friend about any business opportunities as far as agricultural. I had a friend that I met maybe 4 years ago. He's out of Atlanta, and I visited his location in Atlanta. He visited my location here in Kansas City. He's in the same kind of sustainable agricultural field, and he has a nonprofit, and he's been over there and going over there since 2002. And so he bring kids there called a Back to Root program. It's called the Habisha program, and I went to his compound. He had a 7,000 square foot house, 3 floors, all sustainable on solar battery backup, solar water heater, biodigestible toilet, biofiltration water system on a ½ acre, growing all his plants on a compound. He said he spent about 120 grand for that 7,000 square foot.
Living like a king.
Living like a king. If you go back to my Facebook post, and you will see, this spot that he had. Easy in Kansas City, it's at least a $600,000-$700,000 house. You go to other places, you're looking at over $1 million. And I mean, he was up in the
If you went
hills.
to New York, you'd be talking about $4 million.
Easy. And so these are the things that they don't show you about, Africa and Ghana, where you can live like a king. Your money stretch over there. So it's
We talked about that, yeah. Talk about that, how when you were there, what you spent on a little bit of entertainment. Then you went to New York for a minute.
Yeah, it's night and day. So it's like 5.6 cedis to $1. So the average Ghanaian earns about $3,000 a year, U.S. And so you can imagine how that stretches over there in Ghana. I mean, I got a haircut over there for $2.50. And so if you're going out, you're having drinks. You can probably have about, bottle service is like $60 there, in the States you're looking at easy $250, and so just a price comparison to that, the clothes. We met with a seamstress, and she took my measurements. I got like 4 shirts made for like $20 a piece. You know what I mean? So you just can't get that kind of service.
I know.
Anywhere.
Shirt like this, $65.
Right. And so your money stretched over there. So I don't want people to say that, I want to go over there and exploit those people. Figure out a way to do business, and do some commerce across the ocean, with the people of Ghana and the things here. So there's a lot of opportunities to be made, there, from the kente cloth, the shea butter, the black soap. I went to small little villages where I seen them make that stuff by hand. The black soap. They had a warehouse where they was making the kente cloth. We had brothers sitting there sewing, on machines, not using no electricity, using their feet,
the paddle,
weaving thing, the paddle, and all those different things in the warehouse, man. And so it was a lot of different experiences that I seen. The slave castles, which was emotional for a lot of people.
To really see and feel, they almost like they haunted. They, you go, you feel the spirits that
Yeah, when you hear the stories of what our people went through, you might hear bits and pieces, but to hear it and understand and sit in a room where we was once held and understand that we was in that room of maybe 200 people in a small, moldy, cold, dark room where it's about 120 degrees inside, where the feces might be up to your calf, and you was in there from 3 weeks to 4 months at a time, where they would feed you through a tube through the door because they couldn't get inside because it'd be so rowdy and be dead bodies inside of there. So once you understood what we went through, where when we was in there listening to the story, that people couldn't even sit in there for 2 or 3 minutes because it was so hot and humid inside of there, and then people stood in there and lived in there for 3 weeks to 4 months. And so when you understand that, where they didn't take baths, they didn't take showers, they never came out of that room, for 4 months at a time, and even getting to that point. We went to a place called the Last Bath, where the slaves took the last bath before making that 20 mile journey to the slave castles. And so the last bath, after marching, up to 4 months to get to that point, on a chain gang, where, if you couldn't make it, you wasn't strong enough to survive, where only 2 out of the 10 made it. They would take you off the chain, tie you, or put you on a tree, and use you for bait for the hyenas and lions to devour you. Where they didn't mess with the people that was traveling because there was enough humans on the side where they just waiting for the bodies to be eroded on the side of the road. And so when the last bath came, that was the last bath before you got to America. So just imagine going 20 miles to the slave castle, been in there for 3 weeks to 4 months, and then making that journey for 3 months on Atlantic Ocean to the United States. And so you looking at, you might not even be taking a bath for maybe close to 6 or 7 months, or 8 months, and the stench that you have of just urine and feces that's just piled up. And you got to understand the alternative motive and the mindset of the people that put us through this stuff. It's unbearable, unbelievable of the things they've done to us, and us to realize that. And
how strong we as a people just to be here.
Yeah, we don't understand, the strength that we have, that we continue to fight and carry on and go about it. And I always say that our strength is our biggest weakness, or our humanity is our biggest weakness, because we believe the best in everybody. No matter what people do to us, we always think the best and give them another chance when we really shouldn't be doing.
Well, that's not my. I'm a little more, and my hero up here, camera can't see, Muhammad Ali. Right. You hit me, I'm gonna try to club you.
Right.
You cut me, I'm shooting you.
Right.
And I don't think we've had that mentality. We've had the mentality of forgive.
It's that's who we are. We when they always hear that they civilize us, that was never the case. You can't civilize an uncivilized. Civilized people you can't civilize us because they was never civilized. You know what I mean? The things that they they wasn't civilized in their act of doing things, and so. We just have to look at it from that standpoint and just keep on building.
What kind of economic opportunity? See, myself, I had met with my team earlier today, and I was meeting with one of my marketing and sales people, and I was telling them I can't wait for my new team to get some things here, but the reason why we have What's Up Worldwide and we're in Africa, because we are a digital company, and as you were saying that sewing, he was using the paddle. Over in Africa, cell phone is king, and with us being a digital company, there's a whole lot of resources and business that a company like ours would be able to do over in Africa.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different opportunities there. Like I said, it's a developing country. It's not a developed country. And so when you get out of the major city of Accra, Kazuma, it's more of like a country style where they have 28, when you understand they have 28 million people in that country. Keep in mind there's 40 million black people in the United States. They got 28 million just in Ghana alone. 1 billion in Africa total. And so we understand the numbers of people we have, and the ability to, create businesses and work with each other from America and Africa as a whole. The opportunity is there. It's just the information we have just been misguided, and we've been swayed away from doing business with our brothers across the ocean. And now that the year of return has happened and we open our eyes to what's actually over there, I think it's going to be like a domino effect where you're going to see more people going back home and repatriating back to Africa, whether it's Ghana, Gabon, Tanzania, Nairobi, Kenya, South Africa, wherever it may be. You're going to see a lot of people going there and realizing that, hey, this ain't what they told me Africa was. This is nothing like I've learned or heard about. This ain't what I've seen in the books. This ain't what I've seen that people walking around.
And I think they beaches and stuff are much better than what the beaches you talked about earlier. Those are used up, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's all commercial. All that's commercial stuff.
It's all commercial, man. This stuff is untapped, man. It's natural. You got these people living on beach properties, man, for little or nothing along the beach, man. I mean, if you want to build a house, I mean, you can get a 3-bedroom house and build, right there across from the ocean for like maybe 30, 40 grand. Where are you going to get that at anywhere else? And so when you understand that it's home, and you get to see it and experience it, you like, I need to move back. And so, my mindset is, I want to get a place there, if not full-time, at least part-time, and probably, end up being full-time at some point in time.
Yeah, well, where do you see your program, we're going to switch gears, your program here going for 220? So
the mentoring program, we're going to try to get the boys over there to Africa.
Well, not males to men, I'm saying your aquaponics and so forth.
So yeah, right now we looking to build and expand, build our facility. We've been pretty much sitting on some designs, some renderings, award-winning design that was designed by HOK Architectural Firm, and so we've been sitting on there for about 2 years. So hopefully this is the year that we get our facility built out, and it'll be something that's sustainable, something that can be duplicated and implemented in other cities. And so that's what we're going to focus on, is once we get it built out and we get it down, and we want to take it to other places and other cities and even other continents like in Africa. So we're in talks now with maybe possibility getting something built there in Ghana. And so, the doors are pretty much open to travel and get these things built in other places.
You've been giving me a little help with my family. We're trying to get into the hemp business. We have the 50 acres. Are they doing anything like that over there, or is it cost effective?
It's really cost effective because they have a growing season. There's 4 growing seasons a year over there, as opposed to here in the States where it's only 1 growing season. They haven't started growing it over there yet, but it was like a $50 million investment. Where they will be doing some research and training over there, so trying to be on the forefront, when it does hit over there. And so working with some people here to implement something over there, hopefully in the near future. And so I think as far as the human capital, when the weather's concerned, I think that there's huge potential to do business over in Ghana. The only issue is that they have a lot of China influence in Ghana. And so, sometimes they take that dollar not understanding the consequences of taking that dollar and being indebted to these countries like China over there in Africa. So it's pretty much like a land.
China has really seized the moment in the continent, all across the continent.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading some articles last night on that they're really trying to own Africa at this point.
Yeah, they understand that's how China works. They come in and provide you some funds to do whatever it is.
The different, yeah.
Yeah, and then they bring in their own people
right,
to do the work, and they don't hire the people or the native people that's there. So that's an issue that we just have to figure out, to understand that, whatever China has to offer, we have brothers on the United States side as a collective that we can do the same type of infrastructure, in the motherland as China can do in Ghana. So, once we open up those gates and we realize our potential, which I think this year they should see the opportunities and the business potential that we can have together, I think that would help out a lot and maybe slow down Chinese influence, at least in Ghana, as I know they're already there in place.
All right, I'm going back to the hemp. I think you were working with a cooperative, and there was investment. There was opportunity for people to make an investment. I want you to pitch that also, what you're doing, and how that, if they're interested, that they can invest.
Yeah, so with the whole medical marijuana, there was a lot of hoops and barriers that didn't allow a lot of African Americans to get in Missouri, in the whole license process, where you have to have so much money, lawyers to write it, and right now there's a lot of lawsuits being drummed up because there was a lot of foul play in the process there. And so hemp was a lot easier to get into, where the barriers wasn't as stringent as the medical marijuana. So we have opened up an opportunity for people to invest in some greenhouses and shares into growing hemp and having a product.
Give them some information on how to contact if they're interested.
Yeah, so you can pretty much contact me, Dre Taylor, for the hemp. The company is called. God, my mind is still in Ghana, trying to get back. My
brain lock.
Yeah, I've been gone for 3 weeks. Organic Hemp Care, is the name of the company that we have, and so I got to get back to business. I just got back a couple of days ago, and so just trying to get things back in order and running. But yeah, you can get a hold of me, Dre Taylor, Facebook. I'm easy to get a hold of. Males to Men. If you got a boy that want to get mentored, males to men at gmail.com or the Facebook Males to Men. Pretty accessible to be reached, and I can talk to you more and send you some information about either or the hemp or the mentoring program that we have available.
Hey, audience, let me say this to you. I called Dre. We have 50 acres. Dre put my people in South Carolina, where we have with individuals out of Virginia that try to help us do what we're trying to do. Didn't charge me 1/4. Time is money. My people have contacted him a couple of times. I've worried the hell out of him a couple of times. My son just bought a nice home in Smithville, and he has some property. Dre went up there, looked at some things, didn't charge us 1/4, never mentioned $1. And my niece came here in December, that's really managing the property in South Carolina. Dre came up to the office, met with us, talked to us, put us with some people, never mentioned being compensated one time. And I want to let you know, I really appreciate that, and I know my family appreciates that. And as I say, time is money. I haven't really met too many people like you from a business standpoint. Everybody wants to be paid, man. If they look at you, can you pay me?
Yeah, I mean, the more you give, the more you receive. Just like today, I made a post where, we raised $1,700 in a matter of 4 or 5 hours because I'm giving, and so if I'm always trying to take, I'm not able to receive as much as I can receive. And so it's not always going to be monetary, but, I know ways I'm going to get it either on the front end or the back end. And so if I'm helping my people out, they're going to look after me in the long run and knowing that I have their best interests at heart. And so, that been contributing to a lot of successes that, people might contribute to, because I'm always trying to give. And like I said, you're going to receive on the back end one way or another. So I don't ever think that, I got ways to get paid and do things of that nature. And when we get to that point where it requires a lot, then yeah, it's going to be some consultant fees. But, as long as I get the information out, because a lot of times, a lot of people who are information hoarders, who hoard a lot of information, who don't give information out, who have resources to do certain things. And, we in a position that we are because they don't give out that information. They hold on to it. They don't do nothing with it.
And there's this man over here that has some resources that can take that information and move forward, but we're going to hold it. There's a group that believe that keeping the information is the power. I believe giving them, people be saying, why you be telling people all your business or telling people this and that? I'm like, hey, if they can use it, use it.
Yeah, I'm in a lot of different circles, and sometimes I'm the only one at the table. And so, if I'm at the only one at the table, a lot of people won't know, what's going on. And so, I'm always trying to give out information about what's going on here, what's going on there. And sometimes it's appreciated, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you have to charge for them to appreciate the
Right.
information, because if you give them something for free,
Free.
they don't appreciate it. So it's a balance where you have to figure it out. But most of the time, man, I just try to help people out as much as possible, because I was in a position once where I didn't know this information. I had to learn, and I wish somebody would have told me this or that. I had to figure out the long way. And so I just try to help as many people as possible, and just that's my calling, man, just to give, and I'll get it back on the other end.
All right. In closing, is there anything that you would like to tell our audience?
Go to Africa, go to Ghana, go to Tanzania, South America. Get you a passport. See the world. Life is bigger than Kansas City or Missouri or United States of America, the Caribbean, the DR, Jamaica, Mexico. Go back home. Quit trying to go to Europe and see those things. That's cool and all, but go home. Dispel the myths that we've been taught that
Go where you're loved and appreciated.
and they will appreciate you there. They will love you and welcome you there. They won't look at you funny. It's a whole different feeling, man, where you ain't got to worry about police getting behind you because you black. You're not gonna.
You go in the store, you ain't got to worry.
You don't got to worry about it, man. The crazy thing about it, like, it's a country of commerce, so everybody's selling something. So all the street vendors, they leave their stuff on the streets at nighttime. They don't take that stuff home. Their stuff is sitting outside. Their livelihood is sitting outside, and they don't worry about people coming to steal their stuff. And that's crazy, because if you put something outside, whether you're in the nice suburbs of wherever you live at, or you're in the hood, you can't leave nothing outside of valuable, because somebody's going to steal it. That's different from where I just came from in Ghana, where everything is out there, and they just have that code, that cultural experience.
It's a cultural thing.
It's a cultural thing where we don't have here. And so when I say you at home, man, and you peaceful, and you see that kind of stuff, there's pros and cons to everything. Everything here is convenient. All the roads will be paved here. You don't have to worry about, you complain about potholes here. There's a lot of potholes there. Like I said, it's a developing country, so you have your pros and cons, but the pros definitely outweigh the cons.
As we say in closing, when you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. Good night.